Call 312-6-million. Injury law made personal. That's Hankin Law.
A side conversation with Colson Montgomery, and this is more of a Major League Baseball news, but it did surprise me. But I guess the Boston Red Sox were dead set when we were in Dallas during the winter meetings. They signed their Uber prospect, Roman Anthony, to an 8-year, $130 million contract extension. And there are escalators in that contract where Roman Anthony can make even more money. And Roman Anthony's only played like 47 games with the Red Sox. He only has 2 home runs. It's a lot of doubles. Roman Anthony's already got 15 doubles this year. He's batting 276. He's got an amazing on base percentage. He's on base at a 392 clip. His slugging is 417. So you add it all up, it's an 809 OPS in his first 47 games of the season. But the Red Sox have seen enough. They've signed him to a contract extension. And I guess this is me getting ahead of what could possibly be a fan question or maybe a question in the Sox Machine comments, James. Is this something that the White Sox have to consider if Colson Montgomery gets back on a heater and all of a sudden he's double digit home runs in his rookie year with the White Sox, or maybe he even reaches 20 home runs before the end of the season? Do the White Sox have to think about a contract extension for Montgomery?
Yes, they have to think about it. Do they have to do it? I don't know. One, what's the guarantee going to be in the area of? Because 130 million guaranteed to Roman Anthony. That's
Franchise setting?
$55 million more than they've ever committed to anyone. So my blanket answer to these questions for, since I guess 2023 is that the White Sox have not operated like they had sort of the money to really pursue extensions with anybody. Nothing McThayer Crochet got very far. Garrett wound up signing for what, 160? Is that right? Or am I
Something like that.
underselling?
Yeah. I'll look it up, but I think you're right.
Not basically, if they were in the territory to hand out the Roman Anthony contract, certainly the Garrett Crochet talks didn't indicate that they were in that territory. I imagine Colson be several notches below Garrett and a couple notches below Roman Anthony, not being a number one global prospect, and he is with a group that has signed extensions before hitting free agency. I think Brandon Lau I want to say is the most notable Bledsoe client that I'm thinking of who signed an extension. So it's not like it wouldn't ever happen, but it's also not like a small time agency either that would take like a hometown discount sort of deal either. He's obviously got riskiness to his profile that I think you have to account for, and I wouldn't blame the team for having certainly you wouldn't run the Roman Anthony deal on a copier and hand it to Colson. I don't think necessarily his performance has merited that. In general, they are, until proven otherwise, operating like a small market team. Those teams, to retain, to even just have superstars on the payroll at all, they got to get them young. They got to get them at some point where their cost is lowered. They are not going to get these guys in free agency. If their closest model is the Brewers, based on market size, based on hiring away people from the Brewers, based on signing former Brewers at every opportunity, Brewers signed Jackson Chario to a huge pre-debut extension. I don't think they're in a different territory in terms of if they want superstars retained, they have to kind of do this extension route. We haven't seen them do it in a while. We haven't seen them act like they have any money for these sort of guarantees in a while. I think at some point, maybe it's not the Han level where they were like new ideas that they were kind of springing on players, but I think at some point this team has to get back into the business of pre-arb extensions that have just become commonplace across the league and become a necessity for lower market teams or lower financial capability teams as a way of locking up premium talent. Is Colson that future superstar? I think it's up for question still. Contact rate is something that still has to be monitored. And I can understand that putting a little bit of a cap on how far they're willing to go for that. But yeah, I think in general, is this guy worthy of pre-arb extension? Is not a waste of time for White Sox fans to ask about any new guy who comes up in the next few years and starts dominating. Like, what's his long-term place here? How could they make him affordable long-term? Because I don't think letting guys go 6 years and then trying to retain them in free agency is how the White Sox will thrive at retaining players long term. So yeah, I think it's definitely something worthy of debate, even if I don't think it's a slam dunk, got to do it sort of situation with the
Right.
way Montgomery's particular prospect path has continued. Probably feel like we haven't reached the stabilization point yet of knowing what he is, and that obviously makes it more difficult. But maybe it's an opportunity to find value before he becomes like a 40 homer monster. If you're really all in on what he could be.
Yeah, I mean, if you think he's going to be Corey Seager, I mean, Corey Seager signed for 250 million
Right.
with the
Maybe
Texas
you're still worried
Rangers.
that he's Jed Jerko, and then you don't want to rush him.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a bit soon. Like I can understand on the other side of town, the Cubs podcast talking about a contract extension with Pete Crow Armstrong. I can understand maybe a little pressing. I don't know if it's worthwhile for PCA to do that. It's only been a handful of games for Colson Montgomery, but I thought it was a bit eye-opening that Roman Anthony signed this contract extension. Then again, when you're so young and you're a rookie, and if a team is going to give you $130 million guaranteed, James, if I was
But
21, 22, I'd take that in a heartbeat.
well, I think it's Alex Spire of I want to say Boston Globe who reported that this was like the fourth attempt to sign Ray Anthony to a contract, like by the
Wow.
team.
Okay.
Like they made several entreaties over the course of the year. It used to be that you could set your watch to these things all happening in spring, and it's generally where like the big pushes happen. Now it spills over, maybe because you tried in spring and it started a 6 month negotiation process. Um, Now they kind of happen all over the year, but I would think generally, yes, now currently feels soon. It certainly seems like a topic that would be kicked around in the off season, or at least get an idea of what type of territory he's looking for, whether it's in the off season or the spring when those things used to be commonplace.
Yeah.
It's food for thought for sure.
Right, because with the point of the Montgomery contract would be benefit for him. He gets a little higher salary other than league minimum. He doesn't have to worry about arbitration. For the White Sox, you're trying to make him more cost control in what would be a projected that he could possibly make in his first 2 years of free agency.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what
yeah,
that's what
and like
Boston's doing with Roman Anthony.
arbitration values are generally like a dispatch from like 1995, and Colson being like getting home runs and RBIs are the things that are going
Yeah.
to like be costly in arbitration. Whereas like you wouldn't expect like Chase Mydroff's like OBP to make his arbitration figure like explode. Um,
They don't even take
Colson,
consideration WAR,
right?
right?
Like the second baseman who's like secretly really valuable for like getting on base all the time is probably not going to have the arb figure that the big guy who hits home runs and RBIs is going to, which is why like first basemen are getting like non-tendered all the time because just like their value structure is just not in line with how teams actually view them. So um, another reason why Colson be something to consider, but another reason why maybe someone else is just super cheap and makes sense to lock them up who doesn't fit. But like one of the catchers who generally don't get super well valued or in
Yeah.
arbitration, that could be a consideration, which would be awkward because then like you can't extend the catchers on the exact same day, so you'll have like the illusion of having picked one for at least like a hot second, even if they want to lock up both. So that would be funny too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Jed Hoyer's already having a tough time. He traded for an injured pitcher. But the Red Sox have at least set the floor of what a Pete Crow Armstrong contract extension would look like. So good luck, Cubs, with conversations with PCA. But yeah, with Boston signing Roman Anthony, I had thought maybe the White Sox could possibly approach Colson Montgomery if Major League Baseball is getting back onto that track. And who knows what's going to happen after the CBA or leading up to a new CBA. Thanks for watching this Sox Machine video.
Make sure to subscribe to the Sox Machine podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, such as Spotify and Apple Music. Follow us on social media. We're on all the platforms at Sox Machine. And always subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SoxMachine.